During my childhood, I had a few creepy encounters, but as time passed, I dismissed them as mere figments of my imagination. I was quite the skeptic when it came to anything paranormal. Nonetheless, my friends and I enjoyed exploring rumored haunted locations in the area, even though I didn't believe in any of it. So, when we decided to venture into an abandoned building, which was said to be a former naval academy, I had no fear or hesitation. I had been to that place a few times before, as it had become a popular spot for high schoolers to explore. On one occasion, a friend of mine brought a Ouija board along, and I decided to join in without any concern. At that point in my life, I firmly believed that anything paranormal was nonsense, and even if ghosts and spirits did exist, they couldn't physically harm me since I was alive, and they were not. Predictably, nothing out of the ordinary happened while we played with the Ouija board, reinforcing my skepticism. The satanic symbols and the wall of old magazine covers with eyes gouged out in the basement didn't faze me either. A couple of weeks later, we planned to return to the abandoned Naval Academy, this time with a larger group of friends who were curious to see the place. As we walked through the sprawling building, we occasionally tossed old cans and bottles to startle our more timid friends and the two girls they had brought along. I found it amusing how easily they were frightened. My best friend rode with me that night, and he had previously shared some paranormal experiences he had encountered. I had harshly criticized him and even made fun of him for believing in such things. Little did I know that this night at the abandoned Naval Academy would lead me to apologize for doubting him. After exploring the first and second floors with the group, we decided to venture down a narrow staircase to the lower underground level. We lingered there, engaging in separate conversations about what we should do next. It was then that my best friend's phone began to ring. It was his strict mom calling. Knowing she would be furious if she discovered his whereabouts, I requested that the group keep their voices down so he could lie and say we were at my house. Reluctantly, the rest of the group decided to leave, ignoring my plea for them to wait for me and my friend to finish the phone call. As the group ascended the stairs to the exit, I stood facing my friend with my arms crossed, waiting for the call to end. It seemed to drag on forever, with the distant sounds of the group growing fainter every few seconds. Eventually, all I could hear was my friend's conversation with his mom. To exit the building, they had to reach the top floor and then cross over to another set of stairs leading to the first floor. However, there was a board missing from the doorway, making their exit a bit more time-consuming. What happened next may not sound like much, but it still sends shivers down my spine as I recall it. After several minutes of silence from the rest of the group, my friend's phone call finally concluded. As he said his final goodbyes to his mom, the screen on his flip phone briefly lit up bright, displaying the time of the call, before immediately dimming. In that sudden flash of light, a bald, transparent figure about our height, with a slightly reddish-gray appearance, materialized to my right. It stood there, faintly illuminated as if it had its own source of dim light, just a few feet away from us. When I saw it, my eyes widened, and every hair on my body stood on end. I felt an instant chill in the air. I stood there, paralyzed with fear, my gaze fixed on the mysterious figure. I didn't utter a word, and before I could even turn my head, my friend dropped his phone while staring directly at the apparition, his hand instinctively covering his mouth. Together, we watched in disbelief as the figure stood there, its gaze fixed upon us with an ominous intensity. It seemed to linger for what felt like an eternity, at least 5 seconds that etched themselves into my memory, before slowly fading away, as if vanishing into thin air. As soon as the entity dissipated, my friend turned to me, his eyes wide with a mix of astonishment and terror. "Did you effing see that?" he exclaimed, his voice trembling. I couldn't find the words to respond. Instead, we stood there, enveloped in a profound sense of disbelief, trying to process what we had just witnessed. It was a defining moment that shattered my skepticism and forced me to reconsider my beliefs. Leaving the basement of the abandoned Naval Academy, we made our way through the dark corridors, the weight of the encounter heavy upon us. The once amusing and lighthearted atmosphere had given way to a somber and unsettling aura. We didn't run, but each step felt heavier than the last, as if an invisible presence lurked just beyond our vision. Once we emerged from the building, our friends awaited us, their expressions filled with curiosity and impatience. They couldn't comprehend the intensity of our experience, the realization that something beyond our understanding had crossed our path. Attempting to articulate our encounter, we recounted the events in detail, sharing our disbelief and the profound effect it had on us. From that night forward, I couldn't dismiss the existence of the paranormal. The encounter at the abandoned Naval Academy had shattered the walls of my skepticism, leaving me with a newfound respect for the mysteries that lay beyond the realm of the living. It opened my eyes to the possibility that there might be something beyond death, something beyond our comprehension. As time passed, my friend and I embarked on a journey to explore the supernatural further. We delved into books, documentaries, and personal accounts, seeking answers to the questions that plagued our mind. It became a shared fascination, a bond that deepened our friendship and propelled us to venture into haunted locations, seeking glimpses into the unknown. Although the experience at the abandoned Naval Academy left me with lingering unease, it also kindled a sense of curiosity and wonder. It reminded me that there are forces at work in this world that defy explanation, and that sometimes we must accept that there are mysteries we may never fully comprehend. To this day, I carry the memory of that encounter with me, a constant reminder that there is more to life and death than what meets the eye. It serves as a testament to the profound impact a single experience can have, shaping our beliefs and challenging the boundaries of what we think we know. And while the darkness of that night may still send chills down my spine, it also serves as a beacon of possibility, a testament to the enduring enigma of the paranormal. During my time as a security officer, I had the opportunity to work a Saturday night shift at an old warehouse in Dudley. Arriving at 5 p.m., I found myself standing before a massive brick structure with a few makeshift offices near the entrance. After the day officer handed me the keys, I locked the doors behind him and began my shift. Initially, everything appeared to be normal, despite the eerie atmosphere created by the aging building. However, around 1 a.m., I received a call from the warehouse manager. It turned out that one of the night drivers had forgotten his paperwork, and the manager asked if I could retrieve it from the office located at the back of the warehouse. I agreed without hesitation and made my way towards the designated office. As I ventured deeper into the warehouse, darkness engulfed my surroundings. Armed with a small flashlight, I cautiously moved forward, using the feeble light to guide my path. Finally, I reached the office door, a massive sliding metal door that emitted an unsettling screech as I pulled it open. Stepping inside, I was greeted by the sight of a blinking office fax machine, with the required paperwork neatly printed out beside it. However, my attention was abruptly diverted to the opposite end of the office, where a chilling sight awaited me. There, hunched over and shivering, was a figure that seemed to be cloaked in darkness. I could hear faint sounds of breath, akin to the shivering gasps one might make when freezing cold. For what felt like an eternity, I stood motionless, captivated by the enigmatic presence before me. Eventually, I mustered the courage to turn back slowly, closing the door behind me in a rush. I hastily retreated to the front office, securing the door and anxiously awaiting the arrival of the driver. An hour passed, and the driver finally arrived to collect his paperwork. For the remainder of the night, I managed to convince myself that it was merely a trick of the darkness, an illusion born out of the playfulness of shadows. Nevertheless, I couldn't shake off the nagging unease that lingered within me. I continued unlocking the office door and frequently checking the surveillance cameras, my apprehension refusing to dissipate. As the clock struck 5 a.m., a knock on the door interrupted my thoughts. Expecting the day officer to enter, I handed him the keys. To my surprise, however, he locked the door from the outside and made no move to join me inside. Puzzled, I inquired if he intended to enter the warehouse. In response, he simply stated that he didn't go inside when no one else was present, opting instead to remain in his car parked in the lot. I found his explanation peculiar and couldn't help but express my curiosity. The day officer locked eyes with me, his expression serious, and asked if I had ventured anywhere beyond the security office. Hesitant to divulge the entire incident, I mentioned that I had entered the back office to retrieve the driver's paperwork. What he said next sent a shiver down my spine, leaving an indelible mark on my memory. With unwavering gaze, he uttered, "Well, then you know why I don't go in there alone." It gave me chills, but I chose to dismiss it, simply responding with a nonchalant "okay then" before making my way home. Needless to say, during my journey back, I promptly contacted my office and made it clear that I preferred not to return to that particular warehouse. This story is 100% true, and I hope you found it as gripping as I did. I embarked on a 9-hour drive to meet my parents at a designated hotel halfway between our locations. Our plan was to reunite and pick up my 2-year-old daughter before heading back home. We had all had a long journey ahead of us, and I assumed we would spend the night at the hotel to rest before continuing our travels. However, when I gathered my daughter's belongings and asked if my parents were also staying, my dad informed me that they would be heading back instead. I felt a twinge of disappointment, but I understood their preference for avoiding hotels. With that, I checked into the hotel and made my way to our room. It was late in the evening, but sleep rarely came easily to me. I was more of a night person, so I turned on the TV and settled into bed while my daughter occupied her own little sleeping space. The room was dim, with only the glow of the television illuminating the space. I sat propped up against the headboard, legs extended straight in front of me beneath the covers. Then, out of nowhere, I felt something grab hold of my toes, both feet simultaneously. Startled, I swiftly pulled my legs in towards my chest, knees bent, while grabbing my phone to use its light to investigate the end of the bed. To my surprise, I found nothing amiss. I sat there, attempting to appear calm and unaffected, concealing the fear welling up inside me. I didn't want whatever had touched me to sense my unease. After a few minutes of pretending nothing had happened, I relaxed my legs and resumed watching TV. It felt like mere moments later when I sensed pressure beside my leg, as if a hand or entity was leaning onto the bed from the foot of the bed. With both hands placed on the mattress, the pressure intensified, as if the left hand was gradually moving forward, pressing down. Then, the right hand followed suit, inching closer to my knee. This eerie sensation continued as the left hand moved forward once again, as if something or someone was crawling their way up toward my face, slowly and deliberately. Overwhelmed with fear, I flung off the blankets and leaped into my daughter's bed, seeking solace in her innocent presence. I faced the wall, embracing her in a protective manner, and that's when I noticed shadows darting across the wall. Panic-stricken, I swiftly switched on the lights, frantically gathering our belongings to prepare for an immediate departure. When I made my way downstairs to check out, it was around 4 a.m. The employee behind the counter remarked, "You're leaving early." Nervously, I replied, "Yeah, I couldn't sleep. By any chance, has anyone ever mentioned that this hotel is haunted?" I chuckled nervously, hoping for a lighthearted response. However, the employee's reply caught me off guard. He asked which room I had been staying in, and upon hearing my response, he revealed, "I don't know why they assigned you that room. I never place guests there. Ever since the hotel changed ownership, they performed a cleansing ritual on the building, hoping it would improve things. But strangely, things have only gotten worse." I responded, "Well, it seems like the cleansing didn't quite do the trick." My husband and I, both in our early 20s, recently moved into our first house together in Italy. It was November, and we were eagerly anticipating the arrival of our first child. Initially, everything seemed normal. During the day, I would be alone in the house while my husband was at work. There was a brief period when he had to travel to Germany for work, leaving me alone for a month. Being heavily pregnant, I spent most of my time resting, and when I was awake, nothing out of the ordinary happened. However, about a week before our baby was due, strange occurrences began. Both my husband and I started hearing unexplained creaking sounds and doors closing on their own. Sometimes, objects would unexpectedly fall off the walls. My husband, who is not inclined to believe in such things, also noticed these incidents, which heightened my concern. On the day I went into labor, we even heard a door slam from another part of the house. Yet, preoccupied with the impending arrival of our little one, we brushed it off as we focused on preparing for the new addition to our family. Fast forward to the present, our baby is now 2.5 months old. Last week, something peculiar happened. Between the hours of 2 a.m. and 5 a.m., a red rubber ducky appeared outside our bedroom door while we were all asleep inside the room. Our baby sleeps in a bassinet next to our bed. Additionally, 5 rubber duckies were neatly arranged on the bathroom counter, which is solid and sturdy. It struck us as odd that only one duck was specifically placed outside our bedroom in the hallway. Then, today, while going about my routine of turning off lights in rooms as I leave them to conserve energy, I noticed something unusual. I entered our bedroom to retrieve something I had left behind, turned off the light, and closed the door. However, when I returned to that part of the house, specifically our baby's nursery, about 5 minutes later, I discovered that the bedroom light was inexplicably on. I turned it off again and returned to the living room. Just a little while ago, I entered our baby's nursery once more to retrieve something, only to find 2 out of the 3 stuffed animals I had carefully arranged months ago haphazardly tossed in the middle of the room. It's worth mentioning that we are the first occupants of this house, confirmed by our landlord who personally built it. Additionally, when my mother-in-law came to stay with us about a month ago, she claimed to have been awoken by something grabbing her foot. I must clarify that I do not sense any negative energy or malevolence associated with these occurrences. However, I would appreciate insight from someone more knowledgeable in this field. Should I be worried? Could this be a guardian angel looking after us? Is there a possibility that something is attached to or following our baby? How can I determine if these experiences have malicious intent or not? I would be grateful to hear if anyone has encountered similar situations, particularly involving babies. I believe it's important to seek guidance and understanding when faced with unexplainable phenomena. While I try to remain calm and open-minded, the well-being of our family, especially our newborn, is my utmost priority. My mother possesses a unique ability to perceive and interact with ghosts and spirits. Throughout her life, she has encountered various experiences, some positive and others unsettling. Growing up with her, I became a steadfast believer in the existence of ghosts, even though I myself lacked the ability to see them. However, I had an uncanny intuition, a keen sense of energy and vibes that emanated from people or places. I recall a particular incident that transpired a few months after I had moved into my own room, no longer sharing space with my parents. I was just a few months old at the time. It was a night like any other when my mother suddenly awoke, her senses heightened. She couldn't pinpoint the exact reason for her abrupt awakening, but she brushed it off and decided to quench her thirst by heading to the kitchen. As she entered the kitchen and reached for a glass of water, she caught a glimpse of something out of the corner of her eye, a figure moving stealthily towards my room. My mother, intrigued and concerned, instinctively chose to pursue this mysterious presence. She couldn't afford to dismiss it as mere imagination. With each step, my mother followed the path the figure had taken, and faint giggling echoed through the silence, emanating from my room. Undeterred, she continued her silent vigil until she reached my room. There, she beheld the apparition standing beside my crib, wearing a gentle smile. It was an elderly man, adorned with large glasses. As my mother stood in the doorway, the man acknowledged her presence with a subtle nod, before silently departing from my crib. Pausing for a moment, my mother ensured that I was safe and sound, and to her relief, I was peacefully slumbering, even sporting a contented smile. Satisfied with my well-being, she left my room and returned to bed, deciding to keep this surreal encounter to herself, not wishing to disturb my peacefully sleeping father. Weeks later, while my parents were sifting through old family photographs, my mother stumbled upon an image that sent chills down her spine. It was a picture of an elderly man, donning the same distinctive glasses as the figure she had encountered in my room. It was my father's late grandfather, a man with whom my father had shared a deep bond. He had passed away long before my parents even met. Eager to understand the connection, my mother approached my father, showing him the photograph and describing her experience of seeing his grandfather in my room that fateful night. My father was taken aback, confirming that it was indeed his late grandfather. The revelation left both of them awestruck. This story holds a special place in my heart because it assures me that even though I never had the chance to meet my great-grandfather during his lifetime, he still cared deeply and had a profound desire to connect with me. It serves as a testament to the enduring bonds of family that transcend the boundaries of life and death. I am fortunate to have my mother as a source of countless other paranormal tales. If anyone is interested, I would be delighted to share more of her captivating encounters in the future.